Hello, welcome back to the Evolution with Mac and Jenn podcast. It's Jen and Mac here. We're so excited to be here. It's been about what, 2 weeks, Mac, since you've been on the podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
And so we're
It's
very
been a minute.
excited to have you back. We have missed you so much.
Yeah, miss
Yes,
you too.
yes. Welcome back. All right. Let's get into it. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, weren't we talking about dating?
We were kind of talking about discussing dating. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What
And
yeah, no, go ahead.
and I know something came up in our evolution call that had something to do with somebody asking their wife about dating. Like, well, maybe I'll ask her about doing something because he wanted to do something, and it was like, no, don't ask, just do. Right?
Don't ask, just do.
Yeah, like and there's this thing of like men thinking that they should get approval from their wives on the dates, or like, and it's not so much like a relationship romantic type date. This is more go out and have fun type of date. Do things you enjoy and just enjoy life. And the question was around, well, maybe I'll ask her and she see if she wants to do that. And I just straight up said, don't ask, just do. Right? You remember that?
Yes. So I think there's some things here. One of the things is we talk a lot about dating in like dating before you're actually, in a relationship or married or whatever. But we've been talking more about more recently is dating your spouse,
Mhm.
right? And the importance of that. And like why are we talking about it so much these days, like dating your spouse? I know why it's been more important to me.
Why has it been more important to you?
I feel like it's been more important for me and you to be very much more intentional about dating each other
Yeah.
because in my first marriage, I don't feel like we were dating
No.
and it ended. And I don't want it to end.
Well,
I enjoy it.
I mean, for me, one of the things is about in like just really enjoying, and if needs aren't getting met, then there's a struggle, right? And it gets awkward, it gets weird. There's a lot of questions. There's like uncertainty, insecurity, and things begin to break down very fast. So if we're going at a fast pace and something begins to disrupt it, and if we're not dating and fulfilling our each individual needs, one is like, I have needs that I want to get out and do stuff and be active and find joy. And then at the same time, you have needs where you got to get like there has to be some need met there. And if those needs quit being met, then all of a sudden what happens is we just get lazy, and then we begin to question why, like, well, are you enjoying this? Well, are you enjoying this? Well, I don't know. Well, what do you want? Well, what's this want? And then the stories start to run, and when the stories start to run, then it gets weird, and then somebody questions something or someone has a bad day. Well, fine, whatever. It's like, well, what do you mean? Well, fine. And then all of a sudden, rather than just being like having this internal gratitude that's constantly running, because we do a lot of cool stuff and we have a lot of fun, so when that gratitude's always running, there's no like discontent. Like if something small happens, it's okay, next, we don't worry about it. But if you're not doing things and getting out and like enjoying and getting those needs met, then all of a sudden what happens is some little thing happens and then it becomes a discussion. Then the discussion turns into a back and forth to gain significance or certainty in some level. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, it feels more like an argument than a discussion. And at that point, now you've had an argument, and now you decide to walk away. And if you repeat that pattern over and over, it does become an argument, and then it becomes both people become discontent, and it just gets ugly. Like it's just and it's a bad feeling instead of a good feeling. So anytime there's even something as far as the I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, like that begins to happen, and I'm like, okay, this is bullshit. We're gonna do something different, like right now. Does that you got any comments to add to that?
I'm not really. I'm not really sure. I'm just, my mind is just thinking about like what? I was just gonna say my mind is just thinking about why why it's so important
Mhm,
because and like why the people that are in our group who are married are trying to get back to
mhm,
dating each other and why I and we have been so intentional about making sure that we do date each other and make a conscious effort to do so because I look back and think about my first
mhm.
marriage and we did go out sometimes, but it always seemed to be more like special occasion type stuff. And it wasn't consistently you know, what I'm hearing and what I'm noticing is like we do it weekly. And I think it's important to do it weekly, not just on a special occasion or, I mean, once a month is good if that's all you can do, but to actually do it because like again, in my first marriage, we weren't consistently dating, but at the same time, we didn't know that we probably should have been. Like nobody told us.
I think one advantage that we have is that we went into a relationship very healthy and kind of knew what we desired. And so when we got the fulfillment of the feelings, if anything starts to happen outside of those feelings or better, then we kind of look at it and go, what are we like? What's going on? Like there's something that's not proactively working here. And we're both very much on the side of proactive work gives you what you want, right?
Yes.
Mm,
Yes, because I don't think when you tell somebody go on dates every single week with your spouse, I think a lot of people here add one more thing to my plate and that stresses me out. So we're not going to do it. And so most people I think will not make it a priority and put it on the back burner
mhm.
without thinking about or without recognizing the damage that that's actually causing by not prioritizing your relationship.
And there's definitely a piece of this where um guys can get to the side of, well, if she doesn't tell me she wants this, then I'm not going to do it. If she tells me she wants to go on a date, then we'll go on a date. If I'm like, hey, do you want to do something this week? And she's like, oh, I'm fine, then I'm not going to do it. And it doesn't work that way. It's more about the guy being able to read his woman and say she has needs. I need to make sure those needs are met. Now, with that being said, you're not a bitch to your wife or your girlfriend. You don't run around pampering her, doing any of that. It's just that she needs to see you lead. Typically, is more the occasion, and some of that, the dating part, needs to be you valuing her. That's what she needs for validation as far as he loves me and connection, and everybody's going to be a little different. So, and if you're not familiar with love languages, then you need to get familiar with it because sometimes it's physical touch, sometimes it's quality time, sometimes it's words of affirmation, these different things. And how does that look? Like we're both, I think, pretty big on quality time. So if we don't get a lot of quality time, like it just there's this disconnected feeling. And when we date or do something together, then it kind of brings that back. But it can't just be like um it can't be repeated, go watch a movie and have dinner. That I mean, that's cool once in a while, but there needs to be some variety in it. So the I don't know, it's a little bit challenging, but one thing I can tell you for sure is as a guy, I don't just do things because I feel like I have to date my wife. I don't. I do things because I'm like, I need to take time for my relationship to make sure that we're bonded and our relationship is getting better, not deteriorating from the high that it once was. And so our relationship continues to grow month after month, year after year. It's been amazing. But what I do is I do what I want and then she enjoys it. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, well, if I did what I want, she's not going to enjoy it. Well, maybe you need to give less leeway for asking her opinion and just say, hey, this is what I want to do. Let's go do it. And outside of her just straight up saying, no, I'm not doing it, then you can say like, okay, well, I'm going to do it, and maybe you still do it otherwise, but you still need to find something that she does want to do. And without her telling you what it is, because if she's playing the role of control and she's like, well, this is what I want to do, you're screwed. Like, you might do it just to make sure she's appeased or whatever, but you got to figure out how to get her out of control and her more into her feminine, and taking control and leading her on to different things. And in the beginning, it might look a little bit, you know, not so perfect, but after you do it a few times, after you're like, this is what we're going to do, boom, 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 you go do it. And then afterwards, you just observe. You don't need to ask questions. You don't need to ask permission. You just do it and then observe. And you do it again and observe. And you do it again and observe, because you're leading. And typically, when a man does this in a way where the reality here, let me back up. The reality is she married you. You might have forgot who you were when you got married or when she first got attracted to you, but I'm pretty sure when she first met you, you were doing your thing, right? Like, it wasn't you staging the world of like, this is how I get a woman, and if it was, you're a liar. You got bigger problems to deal with. That's a one-on-one conversation. But it's more like, as men, we go out and we're like single, we're doing our thing, we're really confident, and we're out there, and it attracts the woman. And then as soon as you get the woman, you start to please her, and your focus, you forget about who you were. And then she takes over control because it doesn't appear like you're leading anymore. And then now you have a problem.
Well, and when you guys do that,
Mhm.
and you let's just say let you lose control,
Yeah.
right? And we take it over, we lose respect for you,
Yeah.
which is why when if you are already married and you've lost this and you want to get it back, one of the best ways to do it is to start dating again, and for you as the man to take the lead so she can start to see you again through the lens of I can trust him.
Mhm.
And I trust his ability to lead me and to make decisions. And so you start kind of like stepping up it back into that leadership position.
Yeah.
And if it's been a while since you've been that, she may try to fight you on it a little bit in the beginning,
Oh,
especially
May. No, she absolutely is gonna
because she
fight you.
doesn't trust you
Yeah, no,
anymore.
she doesn't, and she's trying to maintain control.
But once she sees you, you take her out, you sit back, you observe, you do it consistently a few times over and over again. The more it happens, the more she will start to see you again as the leader, that sexy man, the one that pursued wants me, right?
Yeah,
Like,
back to the beginning when like how you first met, and she's like drawn in, and you're confident, and she's giving you those feminine triggers that are making being like, yeah, I'm doing this again.
yeah. And so I think that what we're doing and what we want is to keep it, right? Like we don't want to lose it and then have to go back to it because we already did that. And so now that because you and I are a little bit more proactive on how do you say it? Like
Meeting each other's needs.
meeting each other's needs, but like keep like growing
Well, just looking
inside,
at
growing in the relationship as
it,
opposed to
yeah.
getting lost and like where we stop dating. Like, we don't want to stop dating and me to lose trust in you and us to become one of those couples that are miserable.
Well, we
But then we have to get
focus.
back to it. We
I,
want to keep doing it.
I think we both focus very much on like what we want. Like, I focus on what's going to bring me joy, right? You focus on, does it feel like love, right?
Yes, but also joy.
Right. I mean, it's not conclusive to one thing. It's involves all of it. But joy for me is that my relationship is in good order, that my, like all these things are in good order so that I can enjoy life more. And if I don't make sure that your needs are met, that's not going to bring me very much joy. In fact, it kind of deteriorates everything else that I'm doing. So I'm very proactive to make sure, one, I treat you like an angel, right? Like as best I can. Two, that I meet your needs in multiple different areas as far as financial, emotional, whether it's touch, words, however. And when I do that, then you stand behind me and respect me in a way that gives me the power to do more. And
Yes.
I don't believe that this is a two-way street. I believe very much that it is a one-way street, that God gave men the power to do this, to give women the certainty. And when men stand as men and give women certainty, then they give men respect and lift them up higher. So if you get, as a man, if you get needy or need validated, you have other problems. It's a different conversation that you need to talk to a man about, not your wife or anything else. And so as much as I try to explain to guys, like, don't ask her opinion on the date. You can ask her if she likes this or this. Give two options, and then tell her what is going to happen. And outside of her saying, no, that's not going to happen, and this is why, and it's a good reason, then you say, okay, well, we won't do that. Well, maybe we can do this. And you find something where it's not about her liking it per se, because if you ask her what she likes, she's trying to figure out in her mind of like, are you going to be mad at her if she likes it, or should she say she likes it, or all these questions, fearing that there's going to be a problem with it, and so you're never going to get the truth. Like, just understand that. You're never going to get the full truth, as in, she's never going to lay down all of her insecurities or vulnerabilities and everything in one sentence that tells you exactly what she wants to do the next day when she's like, oh no, I got too many things to think about, too many things to do, and everything else. You just got to pick her up and take her and go do things outside of that hard. She says, no, I can't do that. This is why. You're like, okay, I respect that. So what we're going to do is this, or maybe you reschedule. But if she's like, well, I don't know, are you sure? Get in the truck, let's go. Right? Like, that's what they want. And it's a there's there's a way to manage this, and it comes from just being a man and trusting who you are, and doing, part of it is doing what you want and leading with strong, confident energy. And when you do that, all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I had such a good day." It's like, really? You looked miserable the whole fucking day. Oh, it was amazing. You don't say that to them, but you might be thinking it in your head of like, it really didn't seem like it, but okay, this is okay. So most of this is, you take action, you do your thing, you keep your mouth shut, you think where you want to go. Well, this is what I want to do. I want to have a good day, and I want her to enjoy it. And so I'm just going to execute this day. And if it sucks, we'll do something different next week, until we begin to come into this fruition. Like I said, lucky for us, we're a little older, there's no bullshit. And so we were living our lives how we were going to live our lives, nothing hidden. So when we started dating, I was like, this is who I am, this is what I want to do. And I would just go do them. And she's like, this is fun. Cool, this is fun. And I'm like, okay, you like this? Okay, cool. What next? Well, now we're going to do this. Like, one day we might be doing some really simple stuff like dinner and movie. And the next time we might be on top of a mountain.
Well, that was one of the reasons why this came up, was one of the guys in the membership who is wanting to be more proactive about
Mhm.
dating his wife, didn't know what to do with her,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And what did you basically told him, do whatever
You
you
want to do.
want to do and just bring her along,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Go and think, well, this would be fun. Even if you're not even sure, you're curious about it. And I want you to come with me. Let's go. Well, no, let's go. Outside of a hard no, she will, like we were talking about. If she's used to having control in certain areas, and you weren't good at leading her, you got to back up and just think about it and be like, no, just lead her. Like, don't take the no. Don't take the well, blah blah blah. No, we can take care of it later. Like, it's gonna be there tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Let's go do this. And you just got to pick her up and go. And as much as I'd love to explain the perfect way to do this, it's not a perfect way to do this. But when you get around other men that know how this works, and then you can bring, like, if you're in the membership and you bring something to me like this, well, what do I do in this situation? I can, probably instantly tell you, in this particular situation, take action here and act like a man, like this, do this. And so that's one of the major values of being in the membership, or even in the higher level memberships, which goes way deeper, or one-on-one, because then you have to have somebody standing with you saying, no, 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 this is how you want to do it, instead of you thinking, well, I don't know, did I do it right? And then you're basing your judgments basically on what the world has told you, which is completely fucked. Like there is no truth in it. And the world is taught that women can do what men do and everything else. And it's completely unnatural to them to do that because they're caretakers. They can a lot of women can do some pretty incredible stuff, but are they fulfilled
If you listen to like what the world tells you to do, you're gonna get results like
like the world
the
has?
world has. And most of the people and us decided that we want more.
Yeah.
And so we do things different and have some different like ideas and way of doing things,
Mm.
but they come from, what does it come from? Well, the desire to have more, right? And to just be open to new ideas, right?
Yeah. And there's just, I don't know, there's so much exciting things that can be done. And sometimes like we don't always go spend a bunch of money, or like what we're doing doesn't always look like a date.
Like one of the things the world might say is that the woman wears the pants
Yeah,
in
which
the
is
relationship.
like,
And like if you're wanting to date and plan dates, but she wears the pants, like in Mac's words, like you're gonna be fucked.
yeah, you're a bitch.
And
Exactly. Totally a
that's
bitch.
why like an idea that would be different would say, no, actually your woman does not wear the pants and you need to put the pants back on,
Yeah.
right?
If if there was ever something where I felt like, I'm not sure about this, I need to talk to my wife. I'm not talking to my wife for permission. Okay. Like, um, it might be something where it's like, I need to make sure that this isn't going to disrupt her. I need to, I want to make sure that, like, based on whatever, like maybe there's even trauma involved of like, well, if I did that, that could stimulate something. It's not about her wearing the pants. It's about making sure that her needs are met. And so she might have sometimes even irrational needs, same as me. I might have past trauma that causes me to want to know one more thing than someone else. It's not about that. It's just understanding each other, being really understanding to that situation, and then you ask. But it's never, I got to get permission, or she controls something, so then I got to talk to her or talk her into it. Like I don't have to. I don't run a life that where I got to talk my wife into something. No, I just make decisions. She respects and trusts me, so I can make decisions. But sometimes there might be certain decisions that I make that could affect her. And in that situation, I'm going to talk to my wife to see where she's at on this, not for permission, to see where she is at on this. And based on her reaction or where she stands, and also my just decision making ability as like the patriarch over the family, over our relationship, I will discern what needs to be discerned and then make a decision based on that, on all information I have. So if anybody were to be like, oh, you're letting your wife make decisions, I'm gonna punch him in the face and be like, you can go fuck yourself. Like, no, this isn't how it works. Like, you need to learn how to be a man. And sometimes it just requires it from all angles. But to say, oh, she's the boss or she wears the pants, quit being a bitch. Like, even sarcasm, even saying it sarcastically puts shit in her head. Okay, that's the danger behind it. You could probably get away with saying it to other men, but you're putting shit in your head. But if she hears it, guess what? Now she has to start thinking about it. Wait, am I in charge? Do I need to do this? Do I need to make sure you're not? Are you being a little boy that I got to take care of now, so that like rein you in or keep you held back or whatever? Because if that's the energy in your relationship, and you say you want a good relationship, you're full of shit. Like that that if she can't trust you to wear the fucking pants, how good's your relationship gonna be? Like, God commanded her to respect you, but if
Well,
you're
if
not
she if
respectable,
she doesn't trust you and you're wearing the pants and she doesn't respect you, then you are no longer in an intimate relationship, you are roommates.
or
That's what happens.
mother and son practically.
And that is what we do not want.
No. That's will
Which
not
is
tolerate
why
it.
we make sure
Yeah,
not to let that
I
happen.
will not tolerate it.
Yeah, and so, God says, man, love your wife, wife, respect your man. It doesn't mean you don't respect your wife and you don't love your man
Right.
too, but it's like, okay, so how do we, like, what we work on is how do we actually do this? Like, how
Yeah.
do I show you respect? How do you show me love? Right? And a lot of it is me showing you respect, well, by you being a man that I can respect,
Right.
right? And you leading, but also me,
Well,
um,
and me showing you love, and sometimes in the sense of not listening to the, well, I don't know, maybe we should do that, like, and it's not bad in any ways, but there's certainly times where if I was just reading kind of the situation and was asking you, well, what do you think? Should we do this? We'd wind up doing nothing, probably sitting on our phones and watching a movie. Like that's where we'd wind up because I wouldn't be able to get any certainty from because you'd be questioning, well, maybe, I don't know. Like, I mean, you don't even like to like drive to the store half the time. It's like you'll put everything together in the week, and then when you need something, you'll go, and then if you needed something else, you'll just find a way to make it work. Right? Like that's typically like you don't like to drive places. It's just who you are. And so whereas like I'm like, we need this, let's just go, like, and we just go. I just go. And so with that kind of energy of when it comes to dating and getting out, we would not be doing what we've been doing. This summer, we've spent more time like in the middle of the mountains, lots of driving, right?
Yeah,
And
so I love that because when you're talking about like this whole topic that we're talking about today is dating each other, dating your spouse, basically. And you started talking about it, and then I think I kind of interrupted you a little bit ago when you were saying it doesn't always have to be, it costs a lot of money or anything like that. So talk about that. Like, because I think when you say take your wife out on dates, men might be thinking
romance.
dinner,
Yeah.
movie, romance, money, the cost. And it doesn't have to be
Now it could be a walk.
expensive. It can be a walk.
Like it could literally be that simple of like a walk. And it can also be trying something that you had this idea of, like you're like, I wonder what about this thing, or you want to go look at something. It could be as easy as busting out a game and being saying, we haven't played this for a while, let's play this game.
I think one of the fun things for men, because men are natural like problem solvers and they like to figure things out,
Mhm.
like a game you could play with yourself is like the game of figuring out your woman and like figuring out what she likes. And so you can like plan something and take her to go do something, observe how she reacts to it, and if she like loves it, like do it again sometime. And if maybe she, doesn't seem as into it, then the next time it could be something, you could try to think of something else and make it see how she reacts to it.
Mm, I'm gonna challenge that a little bit.
Does-
See, because the reality of that is, if there's something that you like, it becomes not even a date to me. It becomes me spoiling you.
Well, I don't know because like I love when we go like we did today, we went and drove up
Yeah,
into
but
the
not for
mountains.
me.
Yeah, but I love that too.
I know. But
I
so
know.
so, so that's kind of what I'm
Okay, well,
saying.
what about like
Is
snowmobiling?
if I was thinking date you because I need to date you and take care of you or whatever, so I begin investigating what you want to do, I'm gonna wind up miserable, right? Because I'm gonna keep doing stuff trying to figure you out. So there has to be this piece of like, I want to do this, let's go do it, and then see if you're good with it.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like if you were gonna take if we only did things you like to do, like if we went snowmobiling on every single date, I would not
Well,
like that.
obviously. But
Like I had fun one time when it was nice and easy,
right, but I also don't do things just because you like them.
right?
I do things because I like them, and it just so happens that we like them,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that is like you like it and me not, maybe not so much, or it's just not my thing, I will do it to spoil you, but not, it's not a date, right? It's like, no, I want you taken care of and I want you doing what you love. So here go, even though we really haven't had that happen, I don't
I
think.
feel like it's more though just like like when you're trying to think about planning dates, and maybe I don't know because I'm not a man, but like think about like when you're thinking about different options of what to do. Like, okay, this week I'm gonna take like I want to go for a walk, so I'm gonna take her on a walk. Okay, great. Well, maybe if she doesn't necessarily enjoy that so much, maybe next time, maybe I will, take her for a drive instead. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just like, I guess I'm talking about this because I know men that are too weak and they will basically put the pussy on the pedestal. And so they will try to find everything their wife wants to like baby and pamper them and do all this BS. And it's like, no, no, you like that's not being a man, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, like if you're showing up as a man, then obviously you're gonna observe things that your wife likes and or girlfriend or date or whatever, and you're gonna be like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Like it may not even be the most enjoyable thing for me to ever do, but when I see her joy, now it becomes my joy, and now I'm like, yeah,
Well,
this is
isn't
fun.
it kind of like the same thing if you were to send your wife flowers?
Yeah.
But and if she doesn't necessarily react good to the flowers, you might not send her flowers again.
No, if she likes flowers, even if she doesn't react right to one set, I'm still gonna send more.
Hmm.
Right? Because it's again, because I don't buy into the BS of the feminine mess that kind of happens. And so this is a very, there's like I said, this can be confusing, and if you don't have other men to kind of hold the frame or help you understand what it is, where I don't get deterred by the mess of the feminine sometimes, right? Where you could be dealing with who knows what in your head and not talk about it, and whatever I do is just not right. I just don't buy into it. I just keep doing what I know needs to be done, and I stay certain in that, and that's also part of that loving part, right? Loving your wife is this sometimes when it seems or feels off, because I can 100% of the time when you're off, I know that sometimes I just let it be because there's not a good way to talk about it. There's certain things where, um, I'm not perfect. So if I were to start bringing something up, you could just throw me under the bus because I mean, well, it would be the truth, in a sense. It would be a way of, so it's like, no, I'm just going to not have this conversation. I'm going to let the energy pass by and I'm just going to continue loving. In other words, I understand. It is just a day of a day. And tomorrow we'll see how it goes. And tomorrow after that, or day after that, we'll see how it goes. And so I just continue to show up with love, right?
Hmm.
So not easy as a guy. It's
You
don't
do a
don't
really
fix
good
it.
job at that.
Don't fix it. Love it. It doesn't make sense. Sometimes you got to sit in the misery with it just to love it. Okay, like understanding. And so, but there are things where it's not natural for me to buy flowers. I don't think about flowers. I don't want flowers. I don't want any of that. But what is becoming more and more natural to me is meeting your needs, right?
Hmm.
And one of your needs is that little bit of variety and excitement with like things like flowers.
Hmm.
And so when I meet your needs and I get a certain response, I love that. I I love when seeing you full.
Hmm.
Okay, so as a man, to see my wife full, I don't know that there's much anything better to see it, or like my kids confident. Like those are some of the things where I'm like, this is it, I will do whatever I need to do to make sure this happens. And it's not giving too much. It's not self-sacrificing. I've done that. It doesn't work. It is very much, I want to do this. Like here are the things that I want out of my life. Therefore, I'm gonna do these things and I'm gonna make sure that these things are taken care of. And then when I work too much, doesn't work. The other things start to break down because I'm never present, and it's no longer a relationship. It becomes like the roommate thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I found though is when I invest into the relationship or into any relationship, and I take that time to do it, I wind up making more money anyway, and I have way less stress.
Yes, because if you're in a relationship and you're not happy in your relationship, then you are not happy, and that reflects in every area of your life,
Mm.
which is why it's important to get this peace.
Yeah, you got to be proactive, and if you don't know what to do, you just flip a coin. I mean, we've done that too, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's drive somewhere. Where are we going? I don't know. Grab a coin. Tails left, heads right.
We spent a whole day in the mountains doing
Yep.
that.
We just drove, and basically we would drive until we hit an intersection, and left or right. We'd already flipped the coin, so left, right. We hit it, and we wind up out in the mountains.
You can download an app on your phone that's a coin flipper. And you just push it.
In fact, that is where we found the place where we got married.
Is that, yes, it was. That is how we found it.
Yep.
That was cool.
That was the first time we'd ever been saw that place, and we wound up going back there when we got married.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
crazy, right? Like just random. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't know. Let's plug it. Get in the car. Let's go. Flip the goal.
I appreciate that you always do take the lead, and you do keep moving our relationship
Yeah.
forward, but also you're like, we're doing this, let's go do this, let's go do this, let's go do this, because it does keep it more fun and exciting, because I think you're absolutely right that if I was making the decisions, we might not actually be doing.
We'd be sitting on the couch, taking naps and
Not because I don't want to do the
watching chick
things,
flicks
but
and
because it's just easier.
scrolling on social media. And so,
Mm.
and with that, if that's all we did, pretty soon you'd be like antsy, looking at me like I was just a lazy bum and disrespect would leave and whatever. But one of the things that I do is I will have a thought about maybe somewhere I want to go or something I want to do or something I've done in the past that I want to try again. And it's just like a random thought. And I'm like, we should do that. We should just go do that. And that's what took us to like Glacier National Park because I was like, I want to go to Glacier. And I just kind of sat there and rolled around in my head. And finally, I was like, let's just do it. Let's just go. And then we took off. But there's other things where it's like, I haven't gone bowling forever. Let's go bowling. And so we get the kids and we go bowling, and it becomes this fun thing. The other day we did frisbee golf.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Never done it before. Went and bought some frisbees. Invited one of Cameron's friends, and went and had a good time. It was hot, and so we did like half of it. I think half the course.
Mm-hmm.
But they had fun. We had fun. It was good. It wasn't anything like, oh my God, life changing, but it was quality time with family.
Because oftentimes, truthfully, it doesn't really matter what we do. What really matters is just, at least for me, just the spending the quality time with you,
Yeah.
and with sometimes when we do take Cameron with us wherever we go. Like, I just like to spend time with you guys, and that makes me feel happy. And Mac and I went to Yellowstone today, and we had a great day, right?
Yeah.
And I asked you what was your favorite part about today. And what was your favorite part?
So it was a long day, and I was getting tired driving, and she doesn't like to drive, and it's mountain roads and stuff. And she's like, no, I just need to stop and take a break, like a quick 10-15 minute nap type thing. And so I find a spot off the road, just pull over, kick the chair back, and then I was like, come here. And so she crawls in my lap, and we just like in the truck, the seat back, and just at some point, I know I fell asleep because I had some weird dream, felt like a dream. I think you did too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was just something about it that just felt right. And it's just kind of crazy in a way, being like, well, what'd you like best about today? It's like just the moment.
You said, I kind of liked the nap we took.
Yeah, it
And
was
I
like,
was like, oh my God, me
yeah,
too.
it was crazy.
And what's really funny is like the nap was great, but we saw a grizzly bear today
Mhm.
and some buffalo
Little
and
fox.
some really cool geyser things. And like we did all kinds of really cool stuff today, but we both like really just enjoyed the nap. And I
Well, it
loved
was, I guess I wasn't the nap. It was just,
the whole experience because
well, I don't know. It was kind of cool that we could go through a whole day and somehow manage to like cuddle up in the seat of a pickup with her on top of me and just let go for a few minutes,
hmm
and it was just a interesting, it's kind of fascinating, but
So you pulled over and I looked over at you and you started moving your seat back and you were like closing your eyes and you kind of took your hat and put it down like this. And I was like, what are you doing? You're like, napping. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? You're like, nap. I'm like, really? And then you said, you're like, come over here. You like, do you want to sit with me? And I was like, that got me really excited. And so I was like, okay. And so I crawled right over there and nestled into you, and you did the cutest thing and put your hat over my face and covered up
blocked the
my eyes
light.
for me. And it was just so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could hear you breathing with my head on your chest, and that like put me was so comfortable. I didn't
You
even
just
care.
like crawled over and you didn't move again.
I didn't
It's
even
like
it was
it's like,
so great.
I'm done.
I wasn't worried about what was going on around us. Like I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is great.
Yes, I mean that, and it was the whole day because we got to see a bunch of cool stuff. There's lots of, I mean, Yellowstone's amazing. It's got lots of sights and things going on, and it was just a cool, chill day. The leaves are starting to change colors, and it was good. I mean, the crepe was pretty good too this
Mm,
morning. So like some good food today.
hmm
But the cool thing was is however long ago when I decided I'm not working on Sunday anymore, just done, um, gave me the time to put into the family, to into our relationship, and that has been one of the biggest blessings ever. Because like I was on the work, like got to get this done now, push, 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 and honestly, since I took the time to just stop and do that, I've been more efficient, more money, less time, better relationship across the board.
And I think because you like to work, you like to make money,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
you like to be go
Yeah.
go. And so I think when you made the decision to stop working on Sundays, it was great for both of us because it gives us both, I think, something to look forward to,
Mhm.
like the time together, in the day. And so a lot of our dates happens on Sundays.
Yeah. And there's other stuff though. Like Friday we
We
went to
do
a movie.
for
Or no, Saturday.
Saturday. We do a lot
Saturday.
we do a lot of stuff together.
Try to walk when we can. Like,
Walk,
but a lot
go
of times,
grab a lunch or a
yeah,
breakfast.
yeah, just wherever we can
I
connect.
just personally, for me, it doesn't really matter what we're doing. I just, in my mind, like the intention is always create magical moments.
It's like do some cool shit.
So
Just-
he wants to do cool shit and I want to create magical moments, so that's what we're doing. And that's why I think the co-creation is turning into something beautiful because we both have really great like intentions.
Yeah. So what are we doing next?
Going to bed.
Well, I think the next trip we got together is going to be Phoenix.
Probably.
So that'll be a week or so. Go to, well, we got to turn that into like drive, go see the Grand Canyon because you haven't seen it for a while, right?
Not since I was a child.
Yeah, go check that out a little bit. It'll probably be too fast because we're gonna drive, but we go check that out. Go hit Sedona.
We're gonna drive because we want to see
Yeah,
sights. We even got a yearly national park pass because we're all about it.
yeah. Wow.
It's
I
so cool.
already paid for it twice, not getting one. So then I was like, just buy it. I'm just gonna buy it.
And so now Yellowstone, Glacier, Did we? Oh, and Rocky
Teton.
Mountain National
Yeah,
Park. It
Rocky
got us,
Mountain
so it's gotten us into three national parks.
this year. Yeah, since we got it. Well, I think there's some on the edges of those two that we've been into, but I don't remember.
And on the way to Phoenix, I heard about a place called Zion National Park.
Okay. Yeah, we can check that out too.
I don't
There's
know.
some roads in Colorado I want to cross too, just to because, but
Mac
we'll,
likes roads. I said, "Why do you like roads?" He said, "Because they go somewhere." Is that what he said?
because they always lead to somewhere.
They always lead to somewhere.
And I'm curious, and I want to know what it is.
Mhm.
Um, but there's also the other stuff as far as uh, could be golf, could be
Oh, are
bowling.
you giving date ideas?
Yeah, well, just stuff that we do. Like this year has been a lot of like outdoors.
Outdoors. So I love, and I gave this example on the membership call when we did arrowhead hunting.
No,
And you're
yeah,
like, yeah, I can who knew that standing and looking at the ground for
yeah,
hours would be fun?
yeah. Who knew I could get away with getting her to look at dirt for 10 hours or whatever?
Arrowhead hunting.
Yeah,
And we didn't find an arrowhead, but we found a scraper one
yeah,
time. And we find teepee rings. That's what's cool about northern Wyoming and Montana,
yeah.
Indian territory.
But there was a lot of stuff when we first met that we did where we would travel and for a while, you'd come to California with me every third month, every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of messed that up. So trying to figure that out again.
Mm.
But we're always doing something, even if but really, even if we just get out and walk together, it counts,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so,
It's just about taking some intentional time to connect,
yeah,
really.
with something for me, there's a piece of it where it's like there has to be some variety.
Right.
So if we walked like every day for a month, at least one day during the month, I'm gonna make you skip or run or something, just some change it up or
And that's because like you value like uncertainty, I think higher than certainty. Like you like to do things and have experiences and do different, like you get bored
well,
easy.
ADHD,
Yeah, you
so
don't just sit around and watch TV.
no,
Like I don't think you ever watch TV. I don't think I've ever seen you watch TV. Movies, yes.
yeah, watch a movie,
Yellowstone,
scroll a
we
little
watched
bit,
Yellowstone on the
make
airplane,
a few
but
things.
so you like to like get out and do things and have
Mhm.
that variety. And so knowing that, I like to, do my part in giving you variety the best I can sometimes.
Well, I just love that I just get to be me and it works and you know, it's we just have a good time.
hmm
And
So if you're a man, stop worrying so much about what.
is she gonna like it? She is or she won't. But you got to do it to find out. But if you're,
She'll like it. What she will like is you taking initiative,
yeah, you
you
being
taking the
confident,
lead
taking the lead, doing your thing, just like how she met you.
when you were in the beginning.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you weren't asking permission.
Mm-mm.
This is what most men forget. Like you weren't asking permission when she found you. Why the hell are you asking permission now? Like just do your thing and like because here's one of the things that I've found. If if I decide I want to do something and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm all passive about it. Well, what about this? Well, I think we should do this or anything else. And she starts throwing in the questions because you're presenting it in a questionable way. And then you do it anyway. What typically happens is she's like, well, I don't know. It was okay, blah, 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 whatever. And it's kind of shitty. Whereas, same thing, if you're just like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Like, I want to do this. You know what? It might even suck. I don't know, but I want to do it. Let's go do it. And she's like, well, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. So, unless it's a hard no, we're going. So she's like, all right, fine. So then she does what she has to. You guys go do your thing. You do it confidently, guaranteed better experience than doing it the other way. Guaranteed.
Mm,
Just your ability to show up, even if it sucks. She's gonna be like, well, at least now you know. At least now we know. And she'll respect what took place, even if it sucks, versus going in, questioning it, being passive. I don't know, are you sure? And then this is what I see a lot of men do. Well, I'm sorry, I really thought it was going to work out better than this, and they're like trying to please her by and like then apologizing for their decision. Like, shut the fuck up, like you little pussy. Like, stop. Like, just man up and take it. Just be like, well, that sucked. guess we're not doing that twice. But now we know, and we can move on and do something else. And she'll be like, "Yep, now we know," and she will back you when you're worth backing. That makes
mm,
sense. You
mm-hmm,
agree?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this passive BS or questioning, just go do it like that. I mean, when you show up with that kind of energy and you do anything, even when it blows up, she's still like, "That's my man,"
Mm-hmm.
because you were decisive and respectable in the way you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So good.
Yeah. So just like I said, if she's had control, you got to just be certain in who you are. You need support from other men, and you need to just go do it repeatedly until she figures out, oh, he's not going to give me back control, and I can respect him. And so that might take some work. So don't think you go try something once and you think you got it down. Practice, practice is practice, and then you do perfect practice, and then you get what you want.
And
But in
your
the
woman will keep like she'll test you, which is why you can't just do it
Yeah,
once.
well, you even test me unconsciously most of the time. Like, she doesn't even know she's doing it, but her subconscious is still trying to, it's like that survival mechanism that's going to try to rule situations, and I have to stop and say, and just somebody say nothing, but sometimes just like, no, we're not going to do that because here's why, because I said so.
A lot of times I know that I'm doing it.
Yeah, most of the time.
Like like the words will come or something will come out of my mouth and like I know what's happening.
But
Just
if
like, meh.
but if I don't put a frame around it,
Right, you do but you frame it and then you like,
yeah, but if I don't, what happens is you instantly justify it as being accurate and truthful,
can you
right?
think of an example
An example?
of me like testing you? I mean,
Not
I can't
not
like I know when it's
recently.
happening.
I mean, there was a good one a while ago, but it's pretty rare as it is.
What about church?
Yeah, I mean, you were testing that pretty hard, but there was also a piece of that. So like, there was a conversation around like I just don't want to go to church, like all these stories were coming in.
Well, we were talking about in the car tonight actually, where and I was saying this, like there's about once a month, there's
Mhm.
a period of time where I call it when Jen like loses touch with reality, and it's really just when I'm like about to start my period. But I feel like I test more during that time.
Yeah, and it's completely, like sometimes it's been during your period and
Mhm.
sometimes a week before.
Mhm.
Um,
This month it was a week before,
about no, it was about a half. It was
like
like,
3 or 4 days.
yeah, here it is.
It's
And
very noticeable.
it's a certain kind of energy where I can pick it up pretty quick and be like, okay, shut up. Like there's no right answer here. And it's one of those things where even if you give the perfect answer, she comes back with something else. And then even if you try to hold a frame, she like tries to attack it, and just be like, well, what? And at some point, I just stop and I listen, and I just come on, what else? What else? What else? And I do it in a way that doesn't make her be like, oh, I know what he's doing. It's like, no, she needs heard. There's a piece of this where it's like something is welled up. Stories have gotten in the mind, and it literally could be as simple as physical fatigue, right? It's like being hangry. if you don't eat or something happens or you're worn out or tired and somebody's pestering you and you're like, stop, like when, like there all things, right? Everything goes, and you get hit that point of fatigue. And when the point of fatigue happens, then it begins to affect the mind. When it affects the mind, then the negative starts to rule versus, being able to control it or being healthy and whole. And when that takes place, if you don't see it as a man, what happens is you take it personal. If you take it personal and if she came at me at like, oh, I think you're wrong about this, I'd be like, what? Like, one, now you're being disrespectful, so like what's going on here? But when it's like, I can see what's happening here, you just need to love her. And today it means you sit with her, you listen, blah 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 blah. Okay, well, here's one of the things that typically happens. You start to love her and she's like, see, he's being weak. And that's when I usually have to be like, stop. No, we're you can have it to here, but do not go to the point of disrespect. Now, if I'm reactive, if she comes at me with something and I react to her response, if reactions are weak, responses are different. Don't fix. Like, if I try to fix, I'm going to get her reaction, which is going to cause, it's going to start this back and forth battle. So sometimes I might kind of challenge it a little bit, and then I figure it out, and then I pull back, and then she kind of starts to lose the conversation a little bit, and then she'll test it, as in like, well, I think, I'm like, stop. This isn't where you get to take authority. Okay, like there's a line here. You can't go past this line. You can play all day in here and crazy whatever. I don't know. You could even pull the strings of all of my mistakes, and I'll sit there and just be like, "Yep, that is true." Well, see, you've messed this up before. How do you know? Whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's true. However, this is where I stand firmly, and you are not going past where I stand. Period. End of story. And so that's when she kind of like stops a little bit and just like, she's not dumb, like, and when I say she, I'm talking to the subconscious, the fight or flight mechanism that is now taken over because of the fatigue of all the emotional, the physical, everything happening. And so I'm like, her subconscious is still in fight or flight. So it knows that if it breaks this boundary, it's it doesn't want to, like, that's a pain level that it doesn't want to experience anywhere. No, never. So hold a a how do I guess a firm and trustworthy boundary. Okay, of do not disrespect me. This is where I stand. It's not here to hurt you. It's not here to push you. It's not here to control you. But you know this, and this is where I stand. Don't disrespect it. And so when that subconscious comes up and meets that, it'll kind of go there, and then it'll come back over here to me, 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 right? And then that's fine. Hold space. Let her get it out, view it out. And it sounds crazy to say, but there's a certain level of what I would call misery in this whole experience. And if you want it to pass the fastest, you sit in her misery with her, feeling exactly what she's feeling, uncomfortable as hell, wanting to fix it, knowing you can't, and just being like, this freaking sucks, and I have no idea what comes tomorrow. Like, it's probably the most uncertain, unsecure, insecure, like, craziness where you're like, if you're really in it with her, you're probably doubting everything you've done, you're questioning everything you're about to do, and all this stuff, and that's what she's going through in that moment. And so when you understand that and you just sit with her in it, and then tomorrow she's praising you about how amazing you were, even though yesterday she was telling you all this other stuff of why she doesn't like this and doesn't like that or doesn't want to do this or blah blah blah, and you're like, oh fuck, did I fuck something up? And you're questioning it, but you're kind of like, no, this was the right decision. I know that was the right decision, and until I get an indicator to change that decision, it doesn't change because she has a bad day, because I made the decision based on I was focused on something, I asked God to help me with something, and I make a decision to go here, then that is where I'm gonna go. And until that changes under positive confirmation, I'm not changing it because of negative bantering. Not gonna happen. And that is that frame that gets set over it that says you can't go past here, but I'm just gonna let you play here, and it's kind of gonna suck, but this is my investment for the month. Small investment, less than 48 hours, sometimes just half a day. But if I put in the time to make sure her needs are met right there, and that she like her subconscious also knows that this is why you respect him, right? There's not this wavering, questioning thing. When the test comes, the test is met, and it lays back down till next month or whatever. And even if you've messed things up, it doesn't matter. That what matters is from a man, like let's say this happened and I made some mistakes and everything was falling apart. All I got to do is take a step back, recommit to the positive affirmation of like, hey God, this is what I did, this is how I messed everything up, and I go back forward, and then I make a decision. Okay, this is what I have to do, and then I communicate it to her. This is what I have to do. So I'm going to do it. And even if she's like, I don't agree. I think this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care. This is what I've been confirmed in. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go. She will stand behind me 100% of the time. But it is because it's my certainty, my connection with God that goes, and she might question the heck out of it. But as soon as I stand on it confidently and move, it stops. The noise stops. So if I make a mistake, that's how fast it can be corrected. Now, typically, I don't make those kind of mistakes because I'm constantly proactive about that. I worked with a lot of other men. I have a brotherhood to say where we work on each other, and we're honest, we expose things, and we work in this way so that we are bringing life to our families and our wife, not dealing with mistakes because we can see them when we're moving forward. And so, lucky for me, I've been through a lot of shit and I know better. So, but it is it's an interesting thing to kind of experience and understand and just be okay with it. And all and like almost entertained by it in a way, because it's always entertaining when you go through that much emotional struggle for a day, and then the next day you're getting praised. It's like, what the, like, okay, well, this is cool, I like it, like, okay. And you just, but loving, right? True love is instant forgiveness. It's like the grace of God, right? He doesn't, his grace is sufficient. He loves us, he doesn't hold anything against us. So do your best to model what God is doing for you right now in this moment. Makes sense.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible.
Yeah, if people could just actually take that in with the full meaning and effort and everything,
It
it would be
almost,
incredible. But it's not something that you just hear once and do. This is something that, like, the reason I'm able to do this is because I work my ass off inside of personal growth, development, all of it. So,
and you're really good at it. You really are. And the way that you just explained it, like you explained it perfectly. And I just know as a woman, when you hold that kind of frame, like it doesn't always feel good in the moment, but because I know what's happening, like I definitely appreciate that you do it because I know that if you didn't, we'd have way bigger problems.
yeah,
And you're right, like you hold the frame, the energy, I let the energy out, and then we move on. And it's great.
yeah,
And I now, like I don't deny that part of me where it's like in those moments, like you know what's happening, I know what's happening, and I don't.
we don't talk about it like, hey, you're having a moment. That's not the
Right,
conversation we have.
right.
We just let it play out, let the feelings be felt,
Mm-hmm.
and respect that feelings are there to be felt.
Yes. And the more you do all of this,
Mhm.
the better you get at it. And so, which is why, like, when I am quote unquote having a moment or I'm letting the feelings out or whatever, it's not like I don't think that it's as toxic as it could be, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it's not.
Because I know what's
Yeah.
happening
We
too.
both kind of know in our own way.
Which is why I said, like, I know when I'm testing it, like when I'm testing or when I know when it's like I need to let this energy out and like don't like in my brain is saying like, you know, I'm thinking don't take any of this personal
Right.
because I don't know what's happening either, really.
Yeah.
But it's really
Sounds way easier in hindsight, trust me. It's
hmm
it's not it's never been easy in the moment. It does take a certain level of, just keeping it together and not reacting.
But what I love is that you're not judging me and I'm not judging you.
But what I love is about this whole conversation, and I have never met another woman that could sit here and talk about the so-called problem and not take it personal. Like, I haven't. There's not another relationship I've ever been in where if we were talking about your problems, that would be a deterioration of your significance, of their significance, not yours,
hmm
right? Because or their individualism would be destroyed just bringing it up. We're talking, well, I didn't do that. Well, you did this, and like instant seeking credibility, certainty, all of it, right?
hmm
And you're not only bringing it up and talking about it, but you understand it. You're not taking it personal. That goes to the work that you've done and the strength, the emotional strength that you have. Most people are emotionally incompetent and ignorant to the whole conversation. They have no emotional integrity,
hmm
and you're like completely on the other side of it, of being able to just expose it and be as honest as possible as you can about it. And it's not like we're both 100% exposing and honest, because stories happen,
Right.
right? Like the stuff begins to happen in the brain and the stories start to create. And well, is he thinking this or she's thinking that, or well, maybe it's this, and it's like, no, I have feelings about some kind of pain. How about I just reveal the pain? Well, that sounds crazy. Why would I do that? Right. And so we're not so good that we can be like, oh man, there's this thought that just came into my head that feels like this. Why would I, and we just talk it out. That usually doesn't happen that quick, but it is like, okay, this is getting out of hand. We need, and we then start to try to expose it,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
So there's still plenty of work to be done and that type of thing. But the thing I just appreciate the most is that I can talk freely and you don't react. You don't get offended. You understand. And I'm just constantly blown away by that. So you're
Oh,
pretty amazing
I
with
love
that.
you.
Yeah, I love
Mm.
you too.
Mm.
Don't just think that I got all the words here. Like, she's the sleeping weapon that women should be listening to nonstop. Just put her in your ear and listen, because what she's doing and what she's done is one of the key factors of why I keep showing up. What was it? The first we went to lunch, right?
hmm
And it might have been the next time we got together. No, it was two times. So I think we went to lunch. Then we watched a movie at one point, and then we were doing something else after that. Like we probably watched a movie, and I think we were in a hot tub or something at the time. And that's when I told you, I was like, I was like, I don't know what it is, but you make me want to be a better man.
Mm.
Remember that?
I remember when you said that.
I think it was less 2 to 3 weeks in.
It was very quick.
Yeah, it was right off the bat.
You
I was,
said it on the phone.
did I?
Mm-hmm.
Then I might have said it after the movie.
You might have said it a couple times.
Yeah,
But I
well, I'm
think the
sure I
first
did.
time you told me was we were on the
We're
phone.
on the phone.
And it was very like quick. I think it was within like a week or two.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so, which was like, I didn't know what happened fully, but I knew what I felt, and I knew that she was driving it. And I was like, what is going on here? Who are you? You legit pulled the right things naturally. Not This was not manipulation. This was she showed up so feminine that something inside of me kicked in instantly, and me being honest was just said, look, like you make me want to be a better man. I don't know for what or how or when, but already I'm already standing in this place of like, what the fuck just happened?
Mm.
And this is amazing. And so and that is part of that emotional control and integrity. And you not like you just leaned in, like just kind of assessed and went, I feel like I can trust him on basic fundamentals of more or less. Like, granted, I did frame things very well,
Mm-hmm.
saying this is who I am, this is what I've been through, like anything you're worried about, boom, 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 boom. We're good. Okay, let's have this conversation. And we just so you kind of knew you weren't going in blind,
Mm-hmm.
but once you decided to go in, you leaned in.
Yes.
And when you leaned in, my my masculine side had to step up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now you just given me something precious. And so it was like it's like somebody throws a baby at you, you don't drop it, you know. Yeah, it's a metaphor, but it's like when if somebody throws China, or China's gonna fall, you know it's about to happen, and it's precious and it's yours. You're gonna go catch it, right? Like you're gonna do everything in your power to do that. And so it was kind of like that. She presented that, and I went, whoa, and it's something just happened. So there's a lot of respect in that, as far as just like, and the other thing too is like, I don't get caught up in figuring out what it is. I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why when the women have their women only calls and you lead them, I don't care what's said. I don't even want to know your relationship vision. I don't need to know. I just know I keep showing up and it keeps working, and you keep showing up and it keeps working.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of faith in our relationship. God is at the top, a lot of faith, and we do the shit that we say we're going to do. We just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So this has gone on longer than I expected it to. So let's get out of here.
That was so good. So good.
Yeah, guys, don't do this alone. Like, don't try to do it alone. You'll screw it up. I guarantee it. I don't do it alone. None of the guys I know do it alone. Get in the membership. Get a hold of me. Whatever it takes. And your Bible study isn't going to cut it either. I hate to tell you,
Mm.
but they don't operate like this. Like, I'm good with Bible study, okay, but it's a different conversation when a man needs to be told to be a freaking man. So don't underestimate the power of brotherhood.
Wonderful. All right. Good.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you all next time. Thank
See
you
ya.
so much.